Welcome to a brief demonstration of post-deployment actions. Post-deployment actions are a set of actions that you can perform on an artifact after it has been successfully deployed through a deployment pipeline. Today, the example I will be sharing with you is in Qlik. However, we do support post-deployment actions for all of our platforms. So first, let's take a look at the app we will be deploying. It is called Movies. And what we want to do is we want to create 2 copies of Movies, and we want each copy to pull from a different Excel file for its data based off of the value that it has for this user-generated variable movie genre. So in our example, we are going to have action movies and we are going to have romance movies. So how do we do this using post-deployment actions? Well, first, we'll create 2 copies, one for each genre. Our create copies action is a bit unique in that it is a looping action. And what this means is that create copies is going to generate new artifacts. And for each artifact, we allow you to perform a certain set of post-deployment actions. So for each artifact, you can rename it, set its variables, publish it, and reload it. So we have our 2 copies. Next, we will rename. And how we're going to do this is we're going to define a set or a list of names, and then we're going to access this list at the copy number. And what this means is that for the first copy, we're going to be using the first value in this list, which is action. And then for the second copy, we will be using romance. And then we will append both with movies app. To check the value that this expression is going to resolve to, you can click on the eyeball. So you can see here that for the first copy, it will be named action movies app, which is what we want. So next we will set variables. And this is where the magic happens in terms of where the app is getting its data from. So we have this movie genre variable. For the first copy, we're going to be using the value action. For the second copy, romance. Next, we will publish to prod 1 because by default, our copies are placed in our personal work and we want our copies to end up in prod 1. And then we will reload a minute after the deployment is complete. So let's finish and save these post-deployment actions and deploy from our plan. So while this is running, I will say, if you're unfamiliar with the concept of deployment plans or deployment pipelines, we do have another video out there that explains what those are and how they work. Okay, that was pretty quick. So we see here that we have 9 unchanged items, which is expected because we didn't actually make any changes to our movies app. And then we have 18 added artifacts. So you can see here that we have our action movies app and we have our romance movies app. And you can see that they have all been published to prod 1, which is exactly what we expected. So now let's navigate over to Qlik since we're in our prod 1 stream. Let's refresh the app list. So now you can, let's refresh it again. You can see that we have our action movies app and we have our romance movies app. So we're going to open each one and cross our fingers and hope that it's had time to reload, but it hasn't. So we will wait a little bit longer. Oh, there we go. So let's refresh each one. And then we'll take a look at the data that it has in its table. So for the romance movies app, when we open up our table, we've got romance movies. So 10 Things I Hate About You, 50 First Dates, all the classics. And then when we open up our sheet for our action movies app, you can see that we have action movies here. So that is how post-deployment actions work. You can perform these actions to artifacts that you are deploying directly. You can also create copies of your artifacts and apply these changes to those copies.